This is a very special occasion for my brother. He only turns 80 once. I have made my prepared notes because I don't want to miss anything. And yes, I will try and make it a bit of a rope. I called this a toast to Richard Roberts, a man for all seasons who made his own world.
Good.
Richard was born the fourth son of Marjorie and Chris Roberts. Very early on, he fashioned his own world. As a small boy, he didn't really have chores. He had older brothers to do. He didn't waste time learning how to behave. He learned from the mistakes of his brothers. His time was his own, and he quickly used it to develop a complete, entire interest in machinery. Anything that moved, or had moving parts, or why it moved. From watches and clocks, although not to the extent of his good friend here, Ray Saunders. Great to have you, Ray. To bikes, cars, trucks, boats, planes, trains, all kinds of farming and earth-moving equipment as well. It's not that Richard had no interest in music or sports. He just didn't feel like spending any time at them, when he could be exploring the world of machinery. And explore he did right through school and into the working world. While in high school, he and a couple of buddies, you may have heard this story, but I'll repeat it anyway, a couple of buddies would take off on Wednesday afternoons. It's called hooking, of course, and go searching for car wrecks to see if they might find something of interest to salvage. This led to a call on the school announcement system, the high school announcement system. Richard Roberts, would you please come to the office of Vice Principal Stewart? On entering, Mr. Cam Stewart asked Richard to sit down and said, Richard, what do you do on Wednesday afternoons when you're not in school? Richard answered truthfully as to what he and his buddies were up to on Wednesday afternoons. Mr. Stewart gave him a long look and then said quietly, Richard, okay, you can go. That was it. There was no discipline. I pause here to say that I'd like to think there is some connection between this story and the fact that Vanier High School, which replaced Courtney High School, soon, not too many years after, developed a very laudable car mechanics program. Richard left school to work with machinery, of course, starting with Comox logging, and moved on to two other woods companies, and quickly graduated to working with some of the biggest digging, moving, and hauling equipment and machines known to man, including D8 Caterpillar tractors building roads in the northern Vancouver Island area, sometimes in dangerous locations, on hillsides where he had the risk of his large tractor rolling over on him. He avoided that risk. And in wet, swampy areas where there's a risk that his tractor might sink right out of sight, he avoided that one too. And he drove trucks and operated shovels with smooth and efficient digging and unloading. Efficiency with no wasted motion was Richard's game. If you ever have a chance to watch the video of Richard operating the ancient Marion steam shovel, you will know what I mean. Throughout his work commitments, Richard found time to make his world by being on the lookout for interesting car wrecks, particularly old vehicles, and he started building his iron collection, which at one time dominated the back 40 here. He also kept building his knowledge of engines and engine power by reading pretty much everything he could lay his hands on engines, gas, diesel, electric, steam. He became a walking engine encyclopedia. And I say that with lots of confidence. If you don't believe me, just ask some of Richard's car friends about Richard's knowledge, which he so willingly shared. He built a major shop down here with a hoist and room to store tools and parts. He gradually began restoring and building old cars and trucks. Even before the shop, his first classic car emerged, the 1912 Model T Ford. He reminded me the other day that actually he built one back in 1958-59. A few years later, his 1907 Stanley steamer was finished and performed well on the road. So well, he got a speeding ticket from an unamused, uninterested female Mountie who didn't care that his antique Stanley was not equipped with a speed gauge. And his antique and collectible cars kept coming. The handsome Brooks steam car, the Bentley, the Rio, the beautiful right-hand drive 1914 Overland, and for fun, the Poor Boy, made from whatever he could find and put together, reminiscent, to me at least, of the infamous Canadian Bennett buggy got back during the Depression, including in his Poor Boy a clothes hanger connection with spark plugs and running on 3 cylinders. And about to emerge down in the area behind you is a nice looking 1947 Mercury pickup with a 1948 engine. When bored with his cars, he turned to stationary engines to run sewing machines and steam engines to run old farm tractors and threshing machines at country fairs and steam shovels, and I've already mentioned the Marion. Richard also likes to drive his antique cars and regularly parades them in Courtney, Comox, and Cumberland, and various other places in British Columbia. He likes to drive fast cars too, and not long ago, he treated himself and son Ralph to a father and son trip of a lifetime to a NASCAR racetrack in North Carolina, where they got their thrills, not to mention elevated heart rates, trying to beat the time records of the likes of Dale Earnhardt. When the time came in his personal life to make things better, Richard found and wooed Rosalie in California and brought her back to Courtney. Married her and brought her into his very large community of friends, witness everybody here today. And typical Richard fashion, he renamed her Shorty. Even her email is shortycat@telus.net. I might add, by digression, my daughter Catherine, who would like to be here, she's in Ontario, he named her, dubbed her Stray Cat. I have 2 other daughters, Richard. They're waiting for you to give them nicknames. But Richard's love of Shorty shows in everything he does. He embraces and supports her family, her daughters, her wonderful quilting, and her love of Siamese cats. Fuji and Maya are the latest members of their family. Best of all, Richard and Rosalie's world means loyalty to their friends, helping them whenever they can, visiting them, and having them come to dinner.
Feeding you.
Frequently. And if they should bring him a pie, even more frequently. It's his pleasure to have his friends visit and to have you all here today. And so to my brother, who has truly fashioned his own world, and a fine place it is, I ask you to charge your glasses and honor Richard Roberts with a toast on this day, his 80th birthday.
Cheers!
Cheers! Happy birthday, Richard.
Are you going to kiss him, Rosalie? Please, a little kiss on the cheek. A little kiss on the cheek, Rosalie.
I'm going to fall over in a minute.
There, a little. There, beautiful.
You're going to have to hold me up.
Yeah, you're going to fall down.